Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're going to do a quick webinar today, so we're hoping it lasts about half an hour. My name is Terry, and the webinar we're talking about today is reducing duplication in daily tasks. So trying to show you how Iplanet can bring a lot of that together. A lot of the systems that we have in place. So my background is in social care, so I've been I've been a support worker and an area manager, and I've led on a number of services. So I know how much paperwork can follow people around, and how much duplication there is in a lot of the systems. Even online systems have a number of duplication. So we're going to talk about that today very briefly, and then I'll jump straight into the demonstration of Iplanet as soon as possible. The difference between Iplanet and other online systems, because what we usually talk about is Iplanet versus paper. You know, the paper systems can be a bit clunky, very difficult, they take up a lot of space, difficult to share. You can have lots of versions going on with things like just plans or files and so on. But Iplanet's also very different from other online systems as well. So as technology advances within social care and people are able to start putting things up into the cloud, getting things up into the cloud or online is not the goal in itself. It has to be done in a proper way, in a way that works for you as a provider. And the difference between Iplanet is we've started the Iplanet system as a purpose-built system. So it's something we've designed from the ground up with the purpose of supporting people. Originally, about 9 or 10 years ago, it was primarily focused around person-centered planning. But that footprint has grown significantly now, and I'll show you that as we go on to the system. But the core difference with Iplanet, I believe, is that because we've designed the system around people, the person supported, it allows Iplanet to support providers who only support a couple of people, 50 people or so, or national organizations that support thousands. And that's because the architecture of the coding or the system, which sounds a bit boring, but it's actually really, really important. It's based on the person. So it's not based on rota, or it's not based on the staff members or on resources. It's based on what that person needs to be supported effectively, whether that's planning or medication or tasks or needs assessment or risk, whatever those needs are. If it's based around the person, it becomes a very expandable model. And also it prevents what we're talking about today, which is duplication. So if you look on the left, a traditional kind of forms-based support plan or a forms-based approach, whether that be online or in paper, and in online versions, you tend to fill a form in and then that form's filled in, but then there's another form to fill in, and it doesn't really take anything from the last bit of information you've done. You have to kind of repeat yourself a little bit, even on online systems. So you get a detached kind of system online, and Iplanet's worked very hard to avoid that. So on the right, you can kind of see that kind of nucleus or atom, kind of the best way we could represent it, really. It looks a bit messy, but actually everything's really connected, and there's very, very little, if not any, duplication in there. Whereas on paper or on some online systems, they can be fill in a form and then that's done. Now you need to fill in another form, and that's not really basing a system around the person. So this database puts the person at the center of this, and hopefully when we do the demo, you'll see that. So what that leads to, having lots and lots of different forms for different things, leads to a siloed approach to the kind of the client life cycle, from client referral through to the budgets and contracts and everything in between, care and support plans. And it's difficult for these parts of the administrative process to talk to each other. On paper, it's near impossible, and you just find yourself duplicating a lot of work. And I mean, just generally, as time is becoming more and more important, as budgets are getting lower and lower, trimming the fat off the delivery of support is becoming more and more important. And I think if we look at our systems, we have to think, well, where are we making duplication? Where are we repeating ourselves? Where are we having to fill in the same information several times? and little things like that can really, really add up over the year. One of the benefits, one of the immediate benefits people have when they install and we put iPlanet into their organization is the storage, the paper storage. That gets reduced significantly because eventually that starts to become very expensive. But having it all online saves that space. But looking at this, we've got these kind of red line silos between different things, whether it's needs assessment and risk management onto care and support plans and outcome tracking, maybe that's in its own thing. And then if there are incidents, they're in its own thing, and they sometimes very difficult to talk to each other and to take that information. And we find we're starting from scratch. If there's an incident, we find we're starting from scratch, even with little things like writing names of people on the forms all the time and then having to store them in a different folder. It just becomes very, very clunky and not very efficient. Whereas iPlanet kind of takes the approach that this is a connected cycle, that it starts with a referral and goes on to the needs and risk assessments, which then feeds in to the care and support plans. And we're going to see that today, the connection between the needs and risk and support plans onto outcome tracking, and how that outcome tracking looks at management information. So we're not going to look at incidents today, but how outcome tracking can feed into management information on the key performance indicators and the general performance. So we're going to look at that today, how Iplanet connects a lot of things together, and by doing so just removes a lot of duplication. So it's a bit of a whirlwind tour, but I think at the end of it, all I need you to see is the possibility or the functionality of Iplanet connecting everything together and how that can really benefit the use of your time. So we're very committed to putting the person in the center of this, and I hope you see that when we see the demonstration. So this is like a bird's eye view of Iplanet, all the things it does. So in the center is the core Iplanet, and that's plans, outcomes, messages, a dashboard, monitoring KPIs, all of the management reports, notes such as shift records and shift logs and so on. We won't look at that today. And then on the outside are the add-on modules you can use, or you can add on to your Iplanet journey. Now, most providers, when they start rolling out Iplanet, they might take 1 or 2 modules, and then as it gets embedded into their culture in the organization, they might start using Iplanet to solve other problems, to address other needs.